Hey guys. So my name is Mark, and I am a retired Navy guy. I have taken my hobbies into retirement. I'm just a blacksmith, woodworker. I like to putz around in my shop, but I am also a sufferer of anxiety. My attacks are daily to several times a day, and they last normally anywhere between 15 minutes to a half an hour. The bad ones can last for as long as a day, but in my searches during my panic attacks, I would often take to YouTube and hope that I could find something that would help me pass the time. And one of the main searches that I would hit is anxiety. So I would Google everything and I'd find all of these videos on how to break an anxiety attack or anxiety relaxing music and all that other stuff, but nothing ever really to just help me get through a panic attack. So I was hoping to create a channel where someone, even if it's just a recording, is going to sit with you through the typical duration of a panic attack, just so you have something to watch, something to be a part of, buy into, relax with. Now, for me, normally I seek out my wife or I grab one of the kids or I do something to try and take my mind off it. But sometimes the best I can do is just kind of be a lump and be useless. I guess my anxiety story is while I was on active duty, I suffered from atrial fibrillation, and it was actually very hard for them to diagnose. So while I was it took them 6 years to finally find out exactly what was wrong with me. And during those 6 years, 8 if you count the first 2 that didn't really bother me, I thought I was dying every day. So of course that really compounded all of the anxiety I was feeling, and after a while, it finally instilled the panic disorder that I still suffer from. Now, I still have panic attacks every day. It's annoying, and I'm disabled. There's a lot that I can't do, and even here in the shop, if you look at my fingers, you can see I'm missing bits because sometimes I'll slip a cog and I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing while I'm having an anxiety attack, and whoopsie daisy, there goes another tip. Who knows? But basically, I just needed something like a resource to get me through most of these panic attacks. So here I am. I was thinking that maybe I could just share a few of my old military stories to start getting things going. But what I really needed to do was I needed to get this channel put back together, because this used to be a cryptocurrency channel. And I do still have some polio holdings, but most of that's gone by the wayside because all those other markets, they really weren't helping my anxiety. I spent a great deal of time just getting really antsy about money, and so I still do that on the side, but it's all about keeping a lower stress level for me now. So that's the biggest part of life here on the farm. I don't get to get into my shop as often as I'd like either. Unfortunately, I do have to cater to my wife's dream of having a farm, and that takes precedence over being able to get in here and make a knife or a cook set or anything else. But with rendezvous season coming up, I find myself making a lot of little wooden trinkets and toys, walking sticks and whatnot for all the kiddies to come and play with. But this is the first video. It's also going to be a tester to see if everything still works. I know that I still have about 48 subscribers to the channel from back when it was a crypto channel. And I see some of y'all popping in. I know someone's here right now. So, hey, how you doing? But what I'm doing is I'm transitioning this over to an anxiety attack channel so that people who eventually know about the channel will have somewhere to go, just so they can try and fight their way through the panic attack with someone here at least talking or being present. So I don't know if this video is going to stay on. This is mainly a test to see if I still even remember how the channel works. But thanks for watching. I know it's not what you're used to seeing when you're here, but if you did find this channel while you're suffering a panic attack, we are right around the 5-minute mark. And this is the phase of my panic attack time where my heart is normally trying to make my eardrums pop with my pulse. So this is where I'm trying to remember to breathe properly, try not to do anything like mow the lawn or drive anywhere, because that has been a mistake I've made in the past. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, can barely breathe, your chest is tight, your wife doesn't want to deal with you, so you go downstairs and you think, I'm dying, I need to go to the hospital. I do have a faith system intact. I go to church, and for the most part, when I am cogent and coherent, that gives me a great deal of peace. But in the grips of a panic attack, man, it is so hard to find that center. All you have is your panic, and all you want to do is be anywhere but where you are. You just need to find relief, and it's so hard to find someone willing to sit with you through it while you're just babbling and incoherent. But what helps me the most with my wife, when she's able to, is she just sits there and she'll either listen to me ramble, or what really helps is when she just prattles on about something, lets me take my mind off of it. Even if it's something mundane, like talking about her goats. We've got 2 female goats and 1 male that we finally got in for our breeding program, and man, they're fainting goats. So this is something that actually works out, because I do my reading, and it was all about goats climbing on cars, goats getting on your roof. And these goats, fortunately, when they get excited, they faint. So I've watched them think about getting on the hood of my car, and they just sit there and their legs will start shaking. They get ready to jump and they fall over. Done. So I don't have to worry about that. The only thing that they really get into is, man, they can trash your plants. My wife has been trying to grow a garden out front for 2.5 years now, and she finally really sank in some deep stakes and put up some solid fencing. But the goats would get in there and they would eat everything, and she never planted anything toxic to them, but she planted anything they didn't want to eat either. And now she's got rhubarb in there, so man, they will really try hard. In fact, Badger, the sheep that we have, she has a sheep for a pet, and then we have 2 for eating. Let's see, what are the names? Lamburger and Sausage. I just call them Thing 1 and Thing 2. But the kids, I warned them, you name them, you get attached. We are still eating them. The week that I brought them home, I had to book their butcher date, because they were really far out. With this COVID thing going on, everyone out here in the country is trying their hand at raising their own animals, and the slaughter dates were booked out. I got them in March, and the soonest they could get them in was September the 1st, and since that's a holiday, it's going to be September 3rd, and then the first day after that was going to be January. So we didn't want to keep them around that long, because right now they're mainly on grass. Well, we're finishing them right now, so they're on grass and corn. Got to get that marble in. Oh, so tasty. But yeah, we try not to get too attached to the animals around here. We do name them, but a lot of them do end up on the table. There's a couple chickens that have bought their ticket here, 1 duck, 1 sheep, Badger, who is an Icelandic, who my wife absolutely adores, and then the dog. Everything else is basically livestock. They've all got names, but the kids are the only ones that know them all. Goats, geese, ducks, sheep, probably some other animal I'm forgetting. We even had a few Canadian geese clutch up with our Emdens this year, and we incubate, because our Emdens, they will not go broody. And if you take the eggs, they will continue laying for months. So I'm just gathering them up. And then I had 3 hatch out that were kind of silver. And I'm like, that's not normal. Maybe they're half. They're not half. They're not half, and they're still here. They're wild. I mean, they come up to you, but we don't lock them up or anything. They ain't going nowhere. They need to leave because come winter, I'm not feeding them. I'm going to have to put foot to booty and get them out of here. Well, if you did come here for panic attacks, this is your 10-minute mark. If you are one of those 15-minute guys, congratulations. You've only got 5 more minutes to go. For me, roundabout now, my pulse would be about maybe 150, and I would be having the trouble breathing part of the panic attack. It takes everyone differently. And what's really annoying about some forms of panic attack is you can develop something called a somatoform disorder, where you shoebox all of your feelings and it just builds up inside of you, and then your body will mimic a syndrome that you are somewhat educated on, be it heart attack, intestinal discomfort, cramps, neck pain, whatever, and you actually obtain psychological relief from the symptoms that you suffer. And I call it asshole brain disorder because, of course, my symptoms for 6 to 8 years before they finally diagnosed it were atrial fibrillation. And that seems to be my default setting in my brain, and it just clicks over, and I think, oh, it's my heart. It's time to go. But eventually, maybe my faith said, but ideally it'd be far in the future. But there are days where I wouldn't mind because the panic disorder is just brutal some days. But gotta make sure I'm not catching things here. Sorry, hold on. Okay, good. You never know when the wife is gonna come out here. She tends not to come out when I'm in the shop because it's if I'm actually working, it's hard to get my attention. I had to break her this habit. When I'm working on stuff and I can't hear, because I got the vacuum going, I got the air compressor running, I got the big blue hammer going, the forge is running on headphones. So the way she used to get my attention is she'd flick the lights. And it didn't matter what I was doing, she would flick the lights. Bandsaw, lights. Forging, lights. The big blue hammer, lights. So I had to break her that habit because I do like having all of my digits intact, even if some of them are missing little bits. I still want to keep what I got. I do tend to get injured and hear more stuff in around 2012. And I know 2020 now, I've been at it almost a decade, but I was a city boy, born and raised. And my wife grew up on a dairy farm. So all of this farming stuff, that's common sense to her, not so much with me. So I flounder around out there quite a bit, and I don't have as much time to be in here as I'd like. And then, of course, she got into this whole rendezvous thing. For those of you who don't know, there are people who dress up in the 1830s to 1860s period, kind of like the Civil War era, and you go there and you barter, you trade. Some people can pay money, but that's what all these hammers and walking sticks and all the other trinkets that I make are for. We don't make any money. Some people go there and they can actually turn a pretty penny, but me, I don't even get my money back on materials. It's just camping for her and the boys, and they get to play dress up. Our Aunt Carol, her Aunt Carol, showed us how it works, and Crispin's really into it. So that's how we do our fun times. But it gets expensive. We had to buy a trailer, tents. We probably have around $15,000 into it right now. And of course, I've spent enough of my life in tents. So we had to get a camper because I'm not sleeping in a canvas tent when I don't have to. Well, we've been together for almost 15 minutes, just about another 20 seconds. If you did get this video going right around when your panic attack started, you should be gearing down right now. If this is your 15-minute mark, you should be able to breathe. Maybe some of your other outside panic thoughts are coming in. You've broken that negative feedback, and You're able to focus on other things. You might have even been able to calm down enough to do the whole 5 things you can hear, 4 things you can see, 3 things you can taste, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can reach out and touch. It's something like that. I can never remember. I end up just kind of floundering around hoping I get it right. But you made it. Now, this was an impromptu video. I didn't come in here with an agenda. I didn't have any stories prepared. This is still very much the old cryptocurrency channel, both in look and feel, and I have no idea how to get everything all set up the way I need it to be for the new setup. But what I'm going to do is everything that I do on this channel, I'm going to try and make it live, because without the spontaneity, without the conversational tone, I think it loses a lot of being able to make you feel like I'm here with you, and someone is going through it with you. There is someone here. You're not going through it alone. And that's honestly one of my biggest problems. When I first retired, my wife would not let me have a dog. So whenever she wanted to go somewhere, one of those 4 poor kids had to stay home with me. And it was a very selfish thing to do, because my fear was dying alone. And I'm basically condemning one of my children to be here with me so that my fear doesn't get realized. And, about 3 years ago now, she finally caved and let me get a dog. So I've got my poor Cosmo, who suffers with me. But I don't know if it's done him any favors, because that is one anxious dog. I'm going to look at my phone because I do have a lot of messages going. Oh, yeah. Food pantry. I volunteer at the local food pantry, and unfortunately today I was having quite a bit of distress and panic, and I had a few attacks earlier. So I wasn't able to go out there and be with them today, but I normally do all the heavy lifting and get everything loaded into cars. I'm the youngest and healthiest of all of the volunteers there, so I'm the interface between the food and the people we give it to. I put it in the cars and do all the heavy lifting for them, because the median age of everyone that works there is about 55 to 65, some older. And it helps when I volunteered, having something to do. That was actually when I started pulling myself out. It's been about 8 months. So after my retirement, even though I had all of this stuff going on, I did have a lot of depression going on. It was very hard for me to feel motivated about doing all of this. Now, I'm not saying there was no joy in working with all these animals and having a forge and all these cool gadgets, gizmos, and tools and everything to play with. But for my entire military career, every day, I loved it. I woke up and I wanted to go to work. I was excited to go to work every day, especially for the last, from 2008 to 2015, my independent duty corpsman years. Those were the years I was allowed to diagnose, treat, prescribe medications, perform minor surgeries, epidermal inclusion cysts, minor sutures, stuff like that. And I loved it. And when I finally developed a panic disorder and my brain wouldn't work right anymore, I couldn't focus. I couldn't remember everything, and I was forgetting small things all the time. And I wasn't possessed of such hubris that I would stay in a field that I would eventually end up killing someone because I would forget to do a med check or something. And God forbid, I put someone on a medication like Ultram and forget to check they're on antidepressants and give them a seizure while they're driving. But once I really started slipping cogs, I knew it was time to take my ball and go home. Well, we have been together for 20 minutes now. So if you are a 30-minute panic attack kind of person, you've only really got about 10 more minutes to go. We've been going at it for 20 minutes. So keep breathing or relaxing. If you're still here and your panic is over, hey, chill, hang out. I'm one of those guys that has roller coaster panic attacks. There are days where I'll ramp up and then I'll think it's over and it's like, oh, no, we still got this one. So hang out. Feel free to just chill. But back on target, we were talking about my IDC years. Yeah. Boy. Once I'm going to have to write down a few of the stories that I can tell. Patient privacy is a real, it can reach out and get you beyond the grave. So I got to watch the stories I tell, because it's very, very possible that at least one of my patients will end up seeing one of these videos. But I've really got some good stories, and some aren't even medical related. But most of my independent duty corpsman time was spent with the Marines, and they were my babies. I loved the Marines. They treated me right, and with the exception of 8th Crime in North Carolina, 8th Com, you know who you are. Medical advice was normally very well respected, except over in 8th Com. I can tell you a couple of stories about the leadership out there, man. They would do the dumbest things. Apparently, there is a bridge that runs out the back of Camp Lejeune. And 8th Com had this go-get-em first lieutenant. And his favorite thing to do for PT was to take a telephone pole, a 30-foot telephone pole. People were telling me that one end of this telephone pole, if you hollowed it out, a skinny girl could crawl through the tube of this thing if they hollowed it out at the end. And the other end was about yay big. And he would line everyone up, tallest at the heavy end and shortest at the skinny end, and go running across this bridge off base. They would take this log off base, 30-foot telephone pole across a bridge. 8th Com. Anyway, they get off there, turn around, and then they'd come back, but they'd go all around the base. And I would get patients in with back pain all the time. Go figure. Back pain, knee pain, hip pain, and I would constantly on their light duty chits write no PT, no lifting anything over 10 pounds. And I would constantly get them coming back. And they'd say, yeah, it's worse now. He made me do it again. He told me medical is just a suggestion. And the key thing is medical is only a suggestion to the commanding officer, not to the baby CO, not to the first lieutenant in charge of 20 people, but to the overarching command CO. So basically, he's shortchanging the CO and leaving his commanding officer on the hook for any further damage. And there were people that actually got put out of the Marine Corps on disability because of the injuries that this guy caused. But, can't give any specifics on that. That was probably one of the most difficult commands I had to work with, and it was only that one guy. And what's funny is when I arrived there in Camp Lejeune, I actually arrived at 8th Com, and they had one physician's assistant there, and he was burnt out. They were beating this poor man to death. And I was there to check into 3rd MLG. And I just ended up at 8th Com. And 8th Com knew, they looked at my orders, and instead of taking me over to 3rd MLG. They're like, oh, we're going to see about getting you posted here. And I'm, this is my first command. I'm fresh out of IDC school. I don't know how the green side works at all. So when I left, they told me, hey, you're probably going to check into HQ, and then they'll assign you to wherever you're going to go. That's how I thought it was going to be. So, of course, I'm like, well, okay, if that's going to work, fine. So I'm sitting there, and the PA says, oh, man, I've been here for 2 years, haven't had a day of leave. Thank God you're here. I hate to do this to you, but the moment we get your order signed and you're checked in, I am dropping a 1-month leave check. And I'm just sitting there, okay. Haven't even met my physician supervisor because I can't work independently unless I'm at sea. On shore, I had to work under the licensure of a doctor who did my peer review, read my notes, made sure I wasn't doing anything that was going to kill somebody. And I had no idea who that was going to be or anything else. And then 20 minutes later, I'm still sitting there. They walk in, and it was a different chief that I had not met yet. And he says, hey, I'm your chief. I'm going to take you where you need to go. And I'll be right back, okay? I just need to check with something down the hall, and then I'm gone. And then as soon as he left, the PA walks back in, looks like someone done kicked him square in the nuts. He was so downtrodden. Oh, you got eggs. Come here.
I got a full one. I got a tall, full one, full of not fake eggs.
This is very nice. Where do you get these?
From inside the barn.
Oh. So, Maxwell here. This is my youngest. He just brought in a few eggs that he found in the barn. The camera doesn't really do this justice. This is one of our pink eggs. We've got blue. This is pinkish. I thought I had an olive, but I guess not. This is another one of our blue. They're small right now because they are pullets. We get, I don't know, around about 15 eggs a day. But when this one goes in there and doesn't smash all the eggs he finds, he brings us a few. But come here, Maxie, will you?
I bring you a few.
Yeah, you brought me a few eggs. This is Maxwell. He is the youngest of 4, and he was born July 4th. I got out on November 27th, so he just barely made it in before I retired. Yep, what you doing? Hi. But we just celebrated his birthday recently. He's 5 years old. And he is probably our snuggliest kid. He loves to snuggle. He loves being held. He seeks us out at night, and he will gladly kick you square in the face as he spins round and round in his sleep. But where do you like sleeping better, on mommy's side of the bed or daddy's side of the bed?
Mommy's side.
You like mommy's side of the bed better? Why?
Because I like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like your bed in your bedroom?
Yep.
Or do you like mommy's bed?
Mommy's bed.
Do you like your bed in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Or the couch downstairs?
Yeah.
Which one do you like better?
Mommy's bed.
I didn't give you that choice.
Like it.
Oh, you like your bed better than the couch?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah. Don't do that. Okay. What I'd like for you to do now is I would like for you to take this to Mama. I think Mama would really like to see this. Another hammer. How many hammers do you need? I just gave you one yesterday.
One.
I just gave you one yesterday.
And I lost it.
That's your second hammer. Look, I don't want them all over the house. If you haven't found the hammer by tomorrow at lunch, I'll give you another one, okay? Okay. Thank you. Careful. Watch out for the hose. There you go. All right. So, guys, if you are still here, we are just getting ready in about 15 seconds to cross the 30-minute mark. That is the average length of time of a mid-range panic attack. I am going to go ahead and conclude this first video here, and hopefully I'll be able to get the channel changed over and get the aesthetics changed, and maybe even script out a few things to talk about next time, just so I can be a little bit more coherent and cogent. I know I did a lot of rambling during this video, but basically I'm just making sure that I still have the ability to run this thing for about a half an hour, and apparently I do in spades, because I think I got more in me. But I'm going to stop here and then take a peek at the channel and see how things work, because I've forgotten how to do so much on here. But I do hope you're feeling better. If you are not, feel free to start the video over again, and I'll sit with you through it all again, okay? Talk to you soon. As soon as I end the stream. Hope you feel better.